Beneath the burning cliffs of western Thebes lies a labyrinth of tombs carved for gods in human form. Here, kings sought eternity, and thieves chased their shadows. 1,000 names written in gold, and 1,000 more erased by time. This is where Egypt buried its secrets, and where the afterlife begins. Chapter 5. Valley of the Kings, the tomb of 2 pharaohs, deep in the western desert, where cliffs burn gold at sunset. A single valley holds the dreams of Egypt's greatest kings. Wadi Biban el-Muluk, the Valley of the Gates of the Kings. Here, the pharaohs of the new kingdom carved their path to eternity, tombs hidden in the belly of the mountain, painted with spells, guarded by silence. But one tomb tells a story unlike any other, a tale of ambition, theft, and resurrection. The longest tomb. Its name, K-9, a corridor that stretches 117 meters through solid limestone. The longest accessible tomb in the valley. Walls blazing with color even after 3,000 years, and inside, 2 rulers lie entangled by fate. Ramesses V began its construction around 1147 BCE, but ruled for only 2 years before smallpox took him. The tomb was left unfinished, abandoned mid-chisel. Then came his uncle, Ramesses VI. He seized the throne, he seized the tomb, and he seized immortality for himself. The usurper's claim. Ramesses VI ordered new chambers carved. 5 more corridors and halls, erasing his nephew's name, chiseling his own into every relief, every wall. The gods would not remember Ramesses V, only Ramesses VI. But even kings can't rule forever. Barely 20 years after his burial, thieves broke through the sealed doors. Their confessions, preserved from the reign of Ramesses IX, tell how it took them 4 days to tunnel through the fill. They stripped the bodies for gold and amulets, tore the wrappings apart, searching for hidden charms. Later priests found what remained, and reburied both mummies in another royal tomb, Amenhotep II's cache, where they were rediscovered in 1898, anonymous, labeled displaced. 2 kings, no thrones, no rest. The afterlife maps. But the tomb itself is a masterpiece of cosmology. Every wall, every ceiling, every pillar carved with the sacred texts of rebirth. The Book of Gates, the Book of Caverns, the Amduat, the Book of the Day and Night, the Book of the Earth. Each one a map of the underworld, guides for the soul's passage through the 12 hours of darkness. The ceiling of the burial chamber shows the goddess Nut, her star-covered body arched across the sky, swallowing the sun at dusk, birthing it again at dawn. A cycle painted in light and shadow. Death devoured, life reborn. The walls show Ramesses VI before Raharakti, before Osiris, battling the serpent Apep, traveling through caverns of flame and shadow until his soul emerges triumphant, radiant, eternal, the ancient visitors. But time didn't seal K-9 forever. Centuries later, travelers came, Greeks, Romans, Copts, carving their own names into the sacred walls. Nearly 1,000 pieces of graffiti cover the stone. Dates, prayers, messages. For them, it wasn't a tomb. It was a tourist site. A window into a world already ancient.
The sun sets on the house of eternity. May the gods guide them home.
Egypt's ruins were destinations of wonder. The imperfect masterpiece. Modern archaeologists found something else. The tomb was unfinished. Some pillars left rough. Ceilings unpolished. In the entrance corridor, a sketch of the vaulted ceiling that was never built. A blueprint frozen mid-dream.
Why? Maybe the stone failed. Maybe the pharaoh died too soon.
Maybe even gods run out of time.
The scattered legacy. Ramesses VI's outer sarcophagus, red granite, shattered by robbers into more than 250 fragments, painstakingly reassembled in 2004. His inner coffin, blue-green conglomerate, painted with red, yellow, and black, restored in 2003. But his lid, carved with his royal face, was stolen long ago, and now rests in the British Museum, while his coffin lies half a world away in Egypt. One tomb, two kings, thousands of years, and a single question carved into eternity. Who truly owns the dead? The light that never dies. Even stripped, looted, violated. KV9 endures. Its walls still blaze with the fire of 1,000 suns. The gods still march across its painted stone. And every line, every color, every whisper of pigment still repeats the same promise whispered since the dawn of Egypt. Death is not defeat. It is transformation. It is return.
Death is not defeat. It is transformation. It is return.
Chapter 6, Mummification, Engineering Eternity. Death, to the ancient Egyptians, was never the end. It was transition, a passage, a doorway built from salt, linen, and faith. And the key to that doorway was mummification. 70 days, 40 for preservation,
30 for wrapping and ritual. Every step sacred, every act engineered to defy decay.
First, purification. The body bathed in water from the Nile, the river that gave Egypt life and would give life again beyond the tomb. Second, extraction of the brain. A bronze hook through the nostril, the gray matter liquefied, drained, discarded. To them, the brain was irrelevant.
The mind lived in the heart.
Third, removal of organs.
An incision on the left flank.
Liver, lungs, stomach, intestines, washed, salted, sealed. In 4 canopic jars guarded by the 4 sons of Horus. But the heart, the IB, remained the center of being, the core of identity. In the afterlife, it would be weighed against the feather of Ma'at.
Truth itself. If the heart was light, the soul would live among the gods.
If heavy, Amit the Devourer would erase it forever.
Drying time. Then came desiccation, the science of stillness. The body buried in natron, a salt that drew every drop of water from flesh and bone. For 40 days it rested, shrinking, darkening, but refusing to rot. The art of wrapping. Next, the wrapping. Dozens of layers of linen, each soaked in resin, each whispering a prayer. Between them, Amulets, scarab for rebirth, jed pillar for stability, wedjat eye for protection. Every one a coded spell, every fold a layer of belief. Finally, the opening of the mouth ceremony. Priests touched the mummy's lips, eyes, and ears with ritual tools,
restoring the senses. Without it, the dead could not eat, could not speak, could not see in the afterlife. They would be trapped, tried, mute, blind, eternal.
Armies for eternity. Then came burial. Nested coffins like Russian dolls, wood, gold, stone, each more elaborate, each another skin between the body and oblivion. And they did not go alone. Thousands of small figures, shabtis, lay ready in the dark. Tutankhamun had more than 400. Tiny laborers carved from faience and wood. When the gods called the pharaoh to toil in the afterlife, the shabtis would rise and answer, "Here I am." Death required an army, and Egypt built one. The creatures of faith. Even animals crossed the threshold. Cats, ibises, crocodiles, even baboons, mummified by the millions. Some were pets, companions for eternity. Others, offerings, victual mummies, food for divine feasts. Entire catacombs packed wall to wall with animal remains. A civilization obsessed with ensuring nothing died in vain. The science behind the sacred. Did they understand why it worked? Not quite. Their science was empirical. Trial and triumph, not theory. They didn't know the chemistry of natron. But they knew its miracle. It stopped time. Modern scans, CT, DNA, isotopes, have turned these bodies into data archives. We've seen bone diseases, parasites, tooth decay, even ancient pathogens that helped shape modern vaccine research. The dead still teach us. The first engineers of eternity. For the Egyptians, mummification wasn't superstition. It was technology. Their first great attempt to engineer immortality, not with myth alone, but with method, with design, with daring. They turned death into architecture, decay into chemistry, hope into hardware. And though we now know that consciousness doesn't return when flesh is preserved, the ambition, the audacity, the refusal to surrender to time remains eternal. Chapter 7. The Hidden Chamber, Tutankhamun's Lost Room. In the Valley of the Kings, beneath the silence of 3,000 years, there is a room no one has ever entered, a space sealed since the dawn of Egypt's greatest mystery. They call it the Hidden Chamber. 1922. Howard Carter kneels before a sealed doorway marked with cartouches of Tutankhamun. He cuts a hole, lights a candle, and peers through. His words will echo forever.
Wonderful things.
Behind that wall lay gold, shrines, statues. The greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century. But what Carter didn't know was that the most extraordinary secret of all might still lie behind another wall. A room he never reached. A room that even the gods hid from him. The new clue. Fast forward to 2015. British Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves releases a paper that shocks the field. While examining high-resolution scans of Tutankhamun's burial chamber, conducted by Madrid-based Factum Arte for the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities, Reeves notices something subtle. Fine linear traces under the painted plaster. Perfectly straight. Perfectly vertical. Like hidden doorways. He proposes a theory. Tutankhamun's tomb was never meant for him. It was originally built for Nefertiti, and behind those painted walls, still sealed, lies her lost burial chamber, the blueprint of an accident. The evidence builds. Tutankhamun died young, around 19. His death was sudden. His tomb, small, unusually small for a pharaoh. 4 rooms only. Hastily finished. Murals painted over still drying plaster. The layout is strange. The burial chamber oriented east-west instead of the usual north-south, and the antechamber carved asymmetrically,
as if grafted onto an existing plan. It's as though the builders repurposed an older tomb drywood, one already cut for a queen. A queen like Nefertiti.
The radar revelation. Late 2015, radar scans by Hirokatsu Watanabe under Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities detect anomalies behind the northern and western walls. Subtle changes in density.
Rectangular shapes. Flat surfaces where solid bedrock should be. In other words, Wes, voids.
Hidden chambers. The world goes wild. Headlines claim the Queen's tomb has been found.
Egypt braces for another Tutankhamun moment. But archaeology moves slower than excitement.
The fragment from before time. Then, a quiet discovery. A cedar wood fragment, once part of a measuring rod, recovered from the Queen's chamber shaft decades ago. Rediscovered in a museum box in 2020. Carbon dated 3,300 BCE.
700 years older than Tutankhamun. Older than the Pyramid Age itself.
Proof that Egypt's tombs were built upon recycled material, connecting dynasties across centuries, a lineage of stone and memory.
If that fragment could travel through time, why not a tomb?
The haunting possibility. If Reeves is right, then behind Tutankhamun's north wall lies a space untouched for over 3,300 years. A chamber painted shut. A queen's burial hidden within a boy king's tomb. If he's wrong, then Tutankhamun's resting place is simply a scar in history. A tomb built in haste and frozen in imperfection. Either way, one truth endures. We are still standing in the shadow of the unknown, still listening to the silence behind the paint, still waiting for the wall to breathe, the promise of the dead. Because Egypt's tombs were never built just to hold bodies. They were built to hold questions, to make us kneel, to make us wonder, and as long as we keep looking, as long as the sand keeps its secrets, the story of Tutankhamun will never end.